What's going on, YouTube? Thank y'all so much for coming back to my channel. If you are new to my channel, my name is Perfectly Flawed, and here I don't care what you do, what you did, or who you did. We are all flawed people, but the choice is yours. To do it perfectly, make sure that y'all hit that subscribe button. Hit it. Stop playing with my emotions. Hit the subscribe button. And turn your notifications on so that you never miss whenever we upload a video. Today, we are going to talk about... I was actually, it was sent to me by a subscriber. He commented. I'm actually surprised that they left a comment up there. Whenever you typically leave a comment that a link is in, YouTube will automatically mark it as spam. So typically I never see it. But I seen it on my channel. I don't know what I was doing. I don't know why I didn't get the notification. I got the email, but I didn't get a notification to my phone when Deshaun... Stallings, Deshaun, I want to shout out you for even bringing this to my attention because I did not know. This, situation kind of hits home for me. Not necessarily with it being anything that I have experienced myself. However, being a part of the gay community, that's the reason why here on YouTube, when you're a gay person that you're here on YouTube, we try to keep it current. We try to make sure that a lot of our content may be based around that. And it's for this reason here, because at the end of the day, this was not something that we could be prepared for, and this was not something that Giovanni was prepared for. He wasn't. He lives in a day and age of technology, and YouTube is here. So with YouTube consistently age restricting anything that's gay content, this was something that somebody else that maybe they experienced that they could have shared, that he could have seen. But with him being 14 years old, he was not able to see this. When we think about coming out, the biggest, most hurtful thing is that your family is going to shun you and they're going to put you out. We don't ever think that said person is going to come back and kill you. That's not in our thought process. That's not something that we think about. This situation was not, a transgendered person not being upfront and honest with the fact that they're transgender. This was the fact. His father knew. He knew, which means that this boy was 14. You knew before he was 14 if he was gay. I'm sorry, there are a lot of parents.
But there was also a history of abuse, though.
True. So he knew. He knew. So you didn't have all of these years to accept this or to not deal with it. But then you killed this boy?
But the history of abuse wasn't necessarily, it wasn't said that it was specific to the boy's sexuality. I think that this father must have had some mental health issues that they're not revealing. Because remember, he's a former pilot. So if he's no longer flying, it may be because there are some mental health issues there and he's not fit to fly. Okay,
I didn't even consider that. I thought maybe because he's getting into his 50s, your eyesight get bad. It's a wrap. They retire you.
But we don't know why they retired him.
True.
We don't know if he's retired. We don't know if he's just former as in retired or former as in was disabled, former as in was not fit to fly, former as in may have had a drinking problem and they were forced to make him stop flying. We don't know what the situation was, but there was a history of abuse of this particular child. I don't know how many other children he may have, but this particular child, there was a history of abuse.
For me, and this is just my opinion, I think that the father, and this is the thing that really gets on my nerves, is that the law and police are able to dictate what's the response and what's the punishment for something like this. Me personally, I would put him in a prison that is saturated with people of the gay community. And you would have to spend the rest of your life there knowing that you killed your son because he was. Like I said, this was something that he was not prepared for in the least a bit. 9 times out of 10, he knew about abuse because he had been in foster care before. And the only person to speak on his behalf, only person to have something to say to the media was a foster mother. Where is this boy's mother?
Right.
Where is she? What are you doing? Are you still with the father? Do you live with the father? Because he didn't.
Okay, but maybe you need to explain to them what happened, because I don't think you spoke.
No, I haven't yet. In this situation, okay, well, I can only go off of what's been reported.
The news report.
The news reports. In the news reports, they're saying that Giovanni and his father were having an argument about his sexuality. They were having an argument about his sexuality. I'm guessing it got heated. But when you see a picture of Giovanni, he wasn't of the stature that you would feel threatened by. Apparently, his father brought a gun with him when he went to confront his son about his sexuality, and he shot him. That was the first report. Giovanni was just in critical condition. Giovanni has now passed from it, and his father has been, detained. He's been arrested. My issue with it is for the simple fact of, this is just my personal opinion. I think that a lot of parents are just simply in denial about their children. You have always known. This boy is 14 years old, which means 7 years ago he was 7. He was 7. You knew his mannerisms. You knew how he acted. If you did not know how he acted and you were never around him, why is this such a huge issue for you that you feel the need to end his life? Again, Giovanni was not of the stature to be a real threat to his father. Now, granted, he's still a male, but he's 14. He's 14, maybe 130 pounds soaking wet. And you take a gun with you. This to me sounds like premeditation. There is no way. You go to an apartment where your son lives and you take a gun with you. For one, you go into your son. Now, I get it. You got Marvin Gaye, whose father killed him and had a gun, whatever. Marvin Gaye was a grown-ass adult. This is a 14-year-old boy that lives on his own. I don't know if he lived on his own. He wasn't living with his family. Let's just say that. He wasn't living with his family. He's living in an apartment. But you're going to either have a conversation or to confront your son about his sexuality, and you take a gun with you. What do you need a gun for?
Right, but see, you're also making the assumption that this man was in his right mind. I mean, obviously, I think there's some mental health issues there, and not that that's an excuse.
Because that's what I'm feeling,
and it's not an excuse. But when people are not in their right mind, I mean, look at this guy that just a domestic violence situation progressed up to him shooting up the church and killing his wife's grandmother and shooting a baby and all this other kind of craziness. When people are not right, you know what I'm saying, and with them having access to weapons, we don't know how this boy's father got this weapon. We don't know how this boy that shot up this church got the weapons that he got. But when you got people who ain't right, and they're not always diagnosed.
See, but here's the thing, and I was going to get to that. Once you brought up that he could have not been in his right mind. Black people have an issue with being diagnosed with something being wrong with them.
They have an issue with labels. They have an issue with having to take medication for, said mental health issues. They don't want to be labeled something. I mean, even when kids require special ed services, first thing that, your average Black family is going to say, don't let them put your baby in them classes. Don't let them put that label on your baby. Instead of saying, force the school district to give your child the services that your child needs in order to be able to become a productive citizen. Now, they don't want to say that, but don't let them. But if they can get a check for said child, it's okay to put a label on them then if they can get a monthly check for a child. But if there's no money involved in it, then it's don't let them put that label on your baby. So I mean, I think that there are a lot. I think sooner or later, America is going to have to deal with the mental health issue in this country. Whether it's more funding, I don't know. Whether it's making sure that people are diagnosed, I don't know. But something's going on. I mean, all of these mass shootings, people doing some of the stuff that they're doing, it's not, you cannot possibly be completely sane.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself should not be an excuse for, just a blanket, oh, well, he was crazy, or oh, he had a mental health issue. Because at some point, people have to be responsible.
True.
Because at some point, even people with mental health issues, when they are properly medicated, at some point have a lucid moment where they know that there is something wrong with them. And in that moment, they know I have to keep on my meds in order for me to be able to behave normally or act normally or perform normally or be able to live a normal existence. I have to take these medications. So at some point, people have had a lucid moment.
See, for me, the reason, and we're going to take, you know, the possibility of mental illness being completely out of it. People are killing me acting like gay is new. Gay has been here for forever. You just told me today that, for one, the reason why Jamaica is so messed up the way it is now is because of the British. But here it is, the first gender reassignment surgery was done in England. It was done in England. It's done by the people who, for one, have colonized all of these different countries and the way things are now. At the end of the day, being gay is not something that is new. Now, I can 100% understand, you know, some people feeling that, okay, I have to take a step away from this person because I don't agree with it. That I understand. But I don't understand people losing their lives because they don't live their life the way you want them to. I don't understand. Like I said, at the end of the day, I think a lot of parents are in denial when it comes to their children. You know, accept it or don't. And if you don't, leave them alone. He was already in, you know, foster care. He already has this person now vouching for him, saying that this is what has happened to him. This was the situation. If he already don't live with you, you sought him out to do this.
Right. And another thing too, something that hasn't come out, whether he was emancipated or not, if the apartment that he was living in, if he was living in another foster home, was this a group home situation?
How the hell is a 14-year-old living in an apartment by themselves?
But see, we don't know that he was living by himself.
We know he wasn't living with his parents.
Exactly.
And if we're talking about a foster mother, I would only by the stretch of the imagination assume that this is not, you know, blood family that he's living with in this apartment. That's what I assume. And at the end of the day, where were the people when this altercation took place? Because the only people that's saying anything are the neighbors. They said that it was a nice area. Which, who's paying for this apartment? I completely get not accepting entirely the way your child lives their lives. But take Jeffrey Dahmer, for instance. His parents never once left his side. And he was a cannibalistic ass murderer. His parents still loved him. I get that. But how do you get to the point to where you're willing to kill your child because they don't live the way you want them to? This boy was 14, 9 times out of 10. Let's be 100% honest. All of us at 14 were girls and boys' bodies. Let's be 100% honest. That was when puberty was first initially getting ready to start. Puberty ain't hit its prime till you're 15, 16 years old. But at 14, all of our voices cracked. Yeah. All of us sounded very effeminate. We all did. Now, because he came into his own and knew more about himself at this situation, it doesn't mean that this was something that wasn't going to change. It doesn't mean that this was something that was definite. But you sought him out to hurt him. And you're his parent. When we're brought into this world, our first line of defense are our parents.
Absolutely.
If nobody can be trusted, your parents are supposed to be.
Your parent is your first protector and your parent is your first advocate.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And before you even have the general distinction of religion and who God is, your parents are God to you. When I was a kid, this one here stood 15 feet tall and was stronger than anybody I had ever known. So when your parents are not your first line of defense, the reason why I feel so angry about this situation is because the boy done already got away and you went and got him. You went to him. You went to him and let's take the fact that he could have possibly been, you know, mentally unstable. If you were mentally stable, you sought him out to do this to him. The foster mother said that he would have rather had a dead son over a gay son. And she said that this does not surprise her with the activity that he has done. Right. So this is letting me know it wasn't no mental instability there. It could be there. But my thing is,
But see, another thing too that people don't understand is when you talk about people who are in abusive situations, this is whether it's children or whether it's a significant other. The person who's being abused still has that need to want to be loved and accepted by the person who's doing the abusing.
True.
So even with his father having the opinion that he had about him, being his son, he still wanted to be loved and accepted by his father. So he probably at 14 would not have the strength to be able to say, I'm no longer going to have contact with this person.
True.
We don't know what he said to him in order for him to come there. I don't know if he was, inspecting the place, come on, Dad, why don't you come over and see my new place or where I'm living at or what. We don't know the situation. We're only speculating at this point.
We only speculating the situation on how they both got there in that situation.
Right. How they ended up in the same space and ended up having a confrontation that eventually,
has brought on this boy's demise.
Unfortunately, cost this child his life. But I think the whole situation is that there are a lot of people out here who have no tolerance, who have no
excuse me,
whatever their opinion is, because they feel they want to keep it 100 or because they want to be true to what they feel their truth is. If they feel or if they've said or if they've had the opinion that certain people, whether it's race, choice, sexual orientation, whatever that situation is, and they say, well, these particular people don't deserve to still be alive. And then if they, they internalize that to include their own family too. I mean, there are just some people who think that way. He could be one of those people who thinks that way. He could be a person who could be mentally ill. He could have been under the influence. Who we don't know. Nobody knows. The only two people who knows what happened in that situation is the dad,
and his father.
Yeah, is the boy who died and the man who committed the murder. So, and then of course, we consider it murder, but the legal definition of it may end up being voluntary manslaughter, or whatever the situation may be after everything. When it all comes out in the wash, we don't know what the actual legal charges are going to be against this man, or if he's even going to get convicted. This still new at this point. This is just a new situation that just happened. But I think that it's such a sad situation that this boy couldn't just be himself. Whether that's right at 14, and like you said, it could be that not knowing enough about the situation. I mean, there are people who could say they know that they're gay and they haven't even had their first sexual experience yet. So this child could have honestly have been a virgin, but still identified as being gay. We don't know what the situation was, but I think that it's sad that his father would take his child's life based off of a choice that he's making right now. We don't know that would have been a choice he would have made for the rest of his life.
Right, like I said, it wasn't something that you just knew was permanent, and that goes back to the stigma.
And even if it was a permanent situation, if he decided at 14, at 10, at 9, at 20, at 40, at 80 that he decided that he identified as being gay, that still doesn't give his father the right to take his life because of it.
True.
Now you have a right in anything that you do to surround yourself by who you want to be surrounded by. You have also the ability to not be around who you don't want to be around.
True.
That's also true. But you don't have the right to take somebody's life.
Because they do something that you don't.
Because they live a lifestyle or do something that you don't particularly care for. You can remove yourself from the situation. That's right. That is at all your right at all times to remove yourself from the situation. But you don't have a right to instill your specific brand of justice on somebody just because they did something or they are living in a way that you don't particularly care for.
Right. And I guess the reason why I have such issue with this, because it reminds me of Pulse, and that's the horrible aspect of it, because something like this has to happen for us to remember what happened at Pulse. Regardless of the fact, this man still went to his son with a gun. Same way that man went to the club with the gun. To me, that was intent. That was intent.
Well, yeah.
Why are you going to your son's house armed? And your son isn't for one, isn't a grown man. He is not a grown man. He's barely hitting puberty.
But see, the thing about it is that's the problem with speculation. We don't know. Maybe this man is always armed. We don't know that he's not always armed.
True, but for me, that's why I said for me.
Right.
That was intent. You went there to harm him.
Right, but that's speculation, though. That's
true. That's why I said to me.
Right.
I didn't say I'm not even saying allegedly. Like this is what. No, this is my opinion. Mm-hmm. Same way that guy went to post to kill all them goddamn people. In my opinion, I think he went to his son's house to kill him.
And that could
for me, being gay isn't something that you just stop doing. It's not something that you just stop. It may be something that you could have never really dealt with to begin with because you did not know yourself. You're 14. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it's not something that a person just gonna have a conversation with you and you just stop. That's just like being able to go to heterosexual people and tell them, no, now it's time to be gay. You can no longer be straight. It's not something you just stop doing.
Right.
You're still gonna have the thoughts. You're still gonna want to do it. So that's why I feel like it was definitely intentional, and I hate that something like this has to happen for us to remember that this is what happened at Post. I hate that the way things are set up here on YouTube, that now everything is being age restricted for one, because he wasn't over the age of 18, he was 14. Mm-hmm. So how you know he was with the exception, you have some people who their children don't do certain things. If something says you have to be 18 or older, they back out, they leave. They leave it alone. But if he didn't make this account and put his real age, this was something that would have never even came across his channel. This was something that, this could have been a topic that he would have never been able to discover. This is the reason why you need to put people's coming out stories, and people, it needs to be known, because now this is something that we have to add to the people are being shunned. You're being kicked out of your house, and you are possibly going to lose your life from the people who are supposed to be your first line of defense. Now this is something we have to build into repetition to let younger members of the LGBT community know. Yeah, your parents could possibly kill you because this is your lifestyle. And it's sad that this is something that we have to foreshadow and warn people of.
The sad part about it, though, is that, I mean, even if you take the sexuality out of it, I mean, that would be the same situation if you want to look at the behavior and the cultural differences when you're talking about people who are from certain cultures that do honor killings. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, their fathers, their brothers, their uncles, the male members of their family could be the ones that could end their lives based on some sort of perceived shame or disgrace on the family or whatever. I mean, if you take sexuality out of it, the context is still the same. True. That the person who's supposed to love and protect you could be the person that does you the most bodily harm because of some sort of perceived disgrace upon them. Because yet again, and going back to what we were talking about in the other video about the young lady who was whose family hasn't spoken out about her putting the stuff in the girls' products. Children are reflections of their parents. So if their parents have this perceived shame based off of their child's sexuality or their child's lifestyle or something that they're doing that they feel so strongly that they want to end their lives, I mean, you don't even have to put sexuality in it. I mean, at some point somebody dropped the ball with him. Mm-hmm. Somebody, you know, and I get it, you know, that he had been in foster care, you know, depending upon maybe what his father had said and done, maybe threats he'd made, behaviors that he's exhibited. Somebody dropped the ball and didn't let this boy know that his safety was in serious jeopardy dealing with his father.
See, and this and that I'm glad you said that right there. There's only so much that I'm even going to keep talking about in the video because it's definitely a horrible situation, but this is what pisses me off about Black Twitter. This is what pisses me off about black people with that stay woke. All of y'all was asleep that this boy is now dead. All of y'all was asleep. All of y'all people running around talking about stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. Stay woke about what? That's what y'all need to be. My bad, y'all. The memory card kind of filled up, but we're going to get right back into it. don't. I guess my bottom basis of it is, don't pick and choose what you want to stay woke about. Don't say stay woke when it's Kanika Jenkins walking into a freezer, but you want to be asleep at the fact that this boy's father then gone to where his residence is and then murdered him.
Where's the speculation about all of that?
Where all y'all conspiracy theories at now?
Yeah, where's the speculation about the foster care system and why his father was able to have access to him?
Why is there not one person around him that was able to say, look, if he's pulled a gun on you before, he will try to kill you. It's a possibility.
Right. Or how come there wasn't some sort of restraining order? You know, in
But
place?
him being 14 years old, that means somebody is making decisions for him. If he's not emancipated,
right.
Somebody's making decisions for him. And why is there not an adult? Where is his mother?
Yeah. And if his mother's not in the picture, if she's deceased, you know, or you know, whatever the situation may be, then he should at least have some sort of guardian, whether it's the state, and if the state was his guardian, then he should have been appointed some sort of what they call attorney ad litem, which is supposed to be for his protection, which is his individual attorney, regardless to what his father or another family member may want to do legally as far as he is concerned. Every child, if they're a ward of the state, is supposed to have somebody who helps make decisions for them that's in their best interest. And in his situation, you know, we don't know, this is speculation, but why wasn't there somebody that said, you know, you need to do what you need to do to keep yourself safe,
and you need to stay away from him?
right?
Now, I'm not saying that nobody did not tell him that, but ain't nobody saying that they did.
Right.
Even the foster mother is saying that he would have rather had a gay son, he would rather had a dead son than a gay son, but not one time did she say, I told him, stay the hell away from him.
Right. But see, by her being the former foster mother, you know, we don't know what the situation is. We don't know how extensive that. We only heard the portion that they revealed on the broadcast. We don't know how much more information she shared or didn't share.
True.
You know, that could have been stuff that could have been edited out. You know, we don't know. But, you know, it is.
But at the end of the day, where are y'all conspiracy theories now? You know he did it. Don't get behind your cameras and behind your iPhones with that cheap ass quality and say about how you feel about that. You know the person that did it.
Yeah.
Why did he do it? How did he do it?
Right.
Y'all wanted to take us all up in there in that hotel room and in that freezer with Kanika. Take us in that apartment and let us know what you think happened with him. Oh, but this ain't the bigger deal. Because why? Because this boy was gay. Black Twitter, black people, stop saying stay woke and y'all all talking in y'all sleep. All of y'all shut the hell up. All of y'all shut up. For the simple fact of why wasn't there somebody from the outside looking in that did not catch this? Like you said, somebody dropped the ball somewhere. Somebody dropped the ball somewhere to where now this boy has lost his life. He was 14.
But the thing about it is, though, too, we're speculating. We don't know that he wasn't told to stay away from him. We don't know that there wasn't a restraining order. We don't know these things because they haven't been brought out yet.
Yeah, right. So where y'all damn conspiracy theories?
But the question needs to be asked. You know, was there a restraining order against this father? Had it been reported that he had, you know, with the abuse, you know, did the judges know? Did whoever was his guardian, if he wasn't an emancipated minor, who was responsible for this child? How is it that this father had access to this boy, you know, and ended his life? You know, why wasn't there some sort of oversight? Why wasn't there some oversight?
Right, and he ended his life, and the only people that know about it is the neighbors. And that's because they're overhearing the argument. They're overhearing the commotion.
Right, and hearing the gunshots and whatever. So, I mean, it's a sad situation. It's a really sad situation. I mean, and then even if you want to take it one step further than that, there are a lot of black children in the foster care system. A lot of them. You know, but nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about the amount of children that are removed from homes. You know, when the
based even around circumstances like this.
Right. Where there's abuse, where there's neglect. You know,
that's sexual abuse.
right. You know, children that are in the system, children that should have been put in the system that weren't, where somebody dropped the ball and left them in the home.
And are now damaged adults.
Right.
At the end of the day, there are a lot of people that I feel this world could do without. Giovanni was not one of them.
Yeah.
He was not one of them. And this is something that people need to keep current. This is something that people don't need to sweep under the rug because he gave. If you're going to be woke, stay woke all the time. Don't be woke when it suits you. Don't be woke when you want to use your voice to speak on something that, for one, don't have nothing to do with you. But if you're gonna stand for, if you're gonna stand for what's right, there's a difference between speaking on certain situations and speaking on what's right. This boy did not deserve to lose his life, especially by the person that's supposed to love and care for him and be his first line of defense against the world.
His first protector and his first advocate.
If you're gonna be woke, stay woke 24/7. Stop talking in y'all goddamn sleep. Why Twitter ain't buzzing about this? All of these people who live their lives on Twitter and report what's going on, why y'all ain't said nothing? Speak up.
Can't hear you.
Be honest. Be honest about what your experience, for one, as a gay individual, whether you black, purple, polka dotted, stripes, stars, don't matter. Let people know what your situation is so that we don't have another Giovanni.
Come up with some suggestions and some solutions. If there are children who are part of the, I can never get the alphabet right,
LGBTQ.
Thank you, community, and if they need some support because they have family members who are abusing them or mistreating them because of their sexual orientation, you know what I'm saying? Are there in your community, are there special foster care homes, group homes, therapies, guardians that can help these children so that they aren't victims?
And as YouTubers saying is that what we do is on social media. Why is this not an outlet? Why is this not something that we promote for people to talk? If you need to talk to somebody, we all got Facebook. We all got Facebook. And if you gonna sit there and be on social media, why not be on social media behind something like this? That they can reach out to you and that they can talk to a person that, for one, is successful. And this is somebody that they can identify with. Y'all, everybody knows that you can always drop comments. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter. I may not be on Twitter as much as I'm supposed to be, but I'm on all of them except for Snapchat. I'm not on there. But DM me, drop a comment, send an email. My email, I'll have it pop up here. Talk to somebody. Don't be blindsided. Don't let this happen again. If you're going to be woke 24 hours and not talking in your sleep. Don't be woke when it suits you. Or for when it's trending is when you want to be woke. This is an issue. This is something that 9 times out of 10, it's not something that ain't happened before. Oh, it's something that didn't happen before. It's just something that's being brought to social media now because we live in a day and age of technology where you can't fart, you can't cuss, you can't spit, and it does not end up on Facebook and it does not end up on YouTube.
That's true. That's true.
So at the end of the day, be mindful. If you're going to be if you're going to be a person that has a social media platform, do something with it. Don't just be that person that's out here doing all of these pranks and all of these tags and all of this and all of that. And from the community that you come from, you ain't even got nothing to say about this. This is something that's not right. Again, there are many people in this world who we could deal without. Giovanni was not one of them. So I'm gonna leave the situation along at that. Did you say everything you wanted to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really sad situation. I'm so sorry that this baby, the last thought that he had was the fact that his dad was gonna kill him
and hated him that much
because he was gay. That's sad. You know, I hope that he's the whole cliche of him being in a better place. You know, I hope he's at peace now. I hope he's not, suffering.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Because he suffered enough here. by the hands of the person that sent him somewhere else. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, y'all. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure that you hit that like button. Turn your notifications on so that you get notified every time we post a video. Remember that we are all flawed people, but the choice is yours to do it perfectly. And we'll see y'all in the next video.
Baby, but you know I never will. No, so I choke